An emotional vampire is a term used to describe individuals who drain the energy and emotional well-being of those around them. They are often characterized by their excessive need for attention, validation, and emotional support, which they seek to fulfill by constantly drawing on the emotional resources of others. These individuals typically exhibit manipulative and controlling behavior, often leaving their victims feeling exhausted, depleted, and emotionally drained. Emotional vampires come in various forms, but they all share common traits. Excessive neediness. Emotional vampires constantly seek validation and attention from others, often to an unhealthy degree. They may constantly demand reassurance, praise, or sympathy, leaving those around them feeling emotionally drained. Manipulative behavior. Emotional vampires are adept at manipulating the emotions of others to get what they want. They may use guilt-tripping, passive-aggressive tactics, or emotional blackmail to control those around them and maintain their hold over them. Lack of empathy. Despite their constant need for emotional support, emotional vampires often lack empathy for others. They may disregard or dismiss the feelings and needs of those around them, prioritizing their own desires above all else. Emotional volatility. Emotional vampires may exhibit extreme mood swings, going from being overly affectionate and clingy to distant and cold in a matter of moments. This unpredictability can leave others feeling on edge and unsure of how to respond. Dependency on others for validation. Emotional vampires rely heavily on the validation and approval of others to feel good about themselves. They may become hostile or resentful if they feel ignored or rejected, leading to further emotional manipulation and control. Inability to take responsibility. Emotional vampires often refuse to take responsibility for their own emotions and actions, instead blaming others for their problems and shortcomings. They may play the victim or deflect criticism in order to avoid facing their own issues. Dealing with an emotional vampire can be challenging and emotionally draining. It's important to set boundaries, prioritize self-care, and seek support from friends, family, or a therapist if needed. By recognizing the signs of emotional vampirism and taking steps to protect oneself, it is possible to break free from their hold and reclaim one's emotional well-being. Emotional vampires are often drawn to individuals who are empathetic, compassionate, and nurturing, as they see them as a readily available source of emotional sustenance. They may target those who are going through a difficult time or who have a tendency to prioritize the needs of others over their own. In relationships, emotional vampires may exhibit controlling and possessive behavior, seeking to exert dominance and control over their partner's emotions and actions. They may use manipulation tactics such as gaslighting, emotional blackmail, and guilt-tripping to maintain their power and control within the relationship. Over time, being in a relationship with an emotional vampire can take a toll on one's mental and emotional well-being. Victims may experience feelings of exhaustion, anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem as a result of the constant emotional manipulation and abuse. Breaking free from the grasp of an emotional vampire can be a challenging process, as they may resist efforts to set boundaries or end the relationship. It often requires a combination of assertiveness, self-care, and support from friends, family, or a therapist to break free from their influence and reclaim one's autonomy and emotional well-being. In some cases, emotional vampires may be unaware of the harm they are causing to others and may benefit from therapy or counseling to address underlying issues such as low self-esteem, insecurity, or unresolved trauma. However, it is ultimately up to the individual to recognize the toxic dynamics of the relationship and take steps to protect themselves from further harm. By recognizing the signs of emotional vampirism and taking proactive steps to address and heal from the effects of emotional abuse, individuals can reclaim their power and create healthier, more fulfilling relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and emotional reciprocity. Continuing on the theme of emotional vampires, it's important to understand that their behavior often stems from deep-seated insecurities and unresolved emotional wounds. Many emotional vampires may have experienced trauma or neglect in their past, leading them to develop maladaptive coping mechanisms to deal with their pain. For some, the constant need for validation and attention serves as a way to fill a void within themselves, temporarily alleviating feelings of emptiness and inadequacy. Others may use manipulation and control as a means of exerting power and influence in their relationships, compensating for feelings of powerlessness or inferiority. While it's important to recognize the underlying reasons behind an emotional vampire's behavior, it's equally important to prioritize one's own well-being and set firm boundaries. It's not the responsibility of the victim to fix or save the emotional vampire, nor should they tolerate abusive or manipulative behavior in the name of compassion or understanding. Ultimately, breaking free from the cycle of emotional vampirism requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to prioritize self-care and emotional health. This may involve seeking support from loved ones, setting clear boundaries with the emotional vampire, and seeking professional help if needed. By recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation and abuse and taking proactive steps to protect oneself, individuals can reclaim their power and create healthier, more fulfilling relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and emotional authenticity. It's also important to acknowledge that emotional vampires are not inherently evil or malicious individuals. Like all of us, they are complex beings shaped by their life experiences, upbringing, and personal struggles. Many emotional vampires may be unaware of the harm they are causing and may genuinely believe that their behavior is justified or necessary for their own survival. However, this does not excuse or justify their actions, and it's essential for individuals to prioritize their own well-being and set boundaries to protect themselves from further harm. This may involve distancing oneself from the emotional vampire, seeking support from trusted friends or family members, and practicing self-care techniques to nurture one's emotional resilience. At the same time, it's important to approach the situation with empathy and compassion, recognizing that emotional vampires are also deserving of understanding and support. Encouraging them to seek professional help or counseling can be a constructive way to address underlying issues and work towards healthier patterns of behavior. Ultimately, breaking free from the grip of an emotional vampire requires courage, self-awareness, and a commitment to prioritizing one's own emotional health and well-being. By taking proactive steps to protect oneself and fostering compassion and understanding for the emotional struggles of others, individuals can create healthier, more authentic relationships and cultivate a greater sense of inner peace and fulfillment.